Hello and welcome to another episode of The Feminine Critique. I'm Emily.
I am Christine.
And
I'm sorry. Fucked it up.
I was going to announce our special guest star, but I'm just going to close up shop. We're done. We're done here. Goodbye.
That's it. Roll the
That's a quick
credits.
episode, shortest episode ever. Bye. Oh, I kid. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't let me introduce you, please. You're ready to do it yourself. You don't need me here.
It's me, Fozzie. Everybody, hi. Hi, guys. It's Fozzie Bear. Hi. Sorry, I just jumped the gun. I thought we were doing that thing where we just said our names.
I mean, we do that because we're just always here, but like when it's somebody extra super special,
we thought you were
like there's
special.
like a build up and fanfare.
Yeah.
I'm not special.
You are the Heather Locklear of The Feminine Critique.
It's true.
It's always special guest star.
Always special guest star, and on multiple episodes in which you really should be considered a cast member. Yes.
Yep.
That's true. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always great to be back with you ladies for our cat fights and what have you.
Yay. Before we pull all of our hair too much, we have movies that we're talking about, don't we?
Sure do.
Yeah. It is, we come here together for a very special occasion. It's the year. Everybody know what year we're in?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, 2024?
Yeah, it's 2024, which means it's the 10-year anniversary of a couple of things, okay? Tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary of my marriage.
Oh, exciting!
Yeah, how about that? But perhaps more importantly, and the real reason we're here, is that it is the 10th anniversary of a little movie called Dracula Untold.
I didn't know if we were supposed to say it.
I like to just keep changing the rules. I'm like a vampire. You don't know which way I'm going to turn.
That was a great dramatic pause.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Leave them wondering if you had a stroke.
I really was going to keep it going for as long as I could. And then I got thirsty, so. Dracula Untold, 2014. And we're going to talk about that. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about another little movie. That movie is, dramatic pause, Fill It.
What?
Fill the dramatic pause with announcing the movie we're covering.
Oh, Abigail.
Abigail, 2024.
From this year, right?
From this year, correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Year of our vampire lord.
Indeed. Now, as we always say on this, not always, but I don't know, we're going to say it on this one, we will talk in detail about both movies. So we're going to do Dracula Untold first, and we will spoil it, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we'll do Abigail, and we will spoil it. These movies, had you both seen both of them, or one of them, or none of them before?
I had to watch Abigail for this podcast.
Okay.
So I had not seen it. I just watched it Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit peek behind the curtain, I'm the one who picked Dracula Untold. I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry, because that movie's awesome. We'll get into it.
This was one of those cases where because I had said to Jason, like, hey, pick something. What do you want to do? And he came back with that one, and I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. And as soon as I did, I'm like, I'll ask Christine. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I bet Christine really loves this movie. Without me knowing anything about this movie, I was like, I don't know, this feels like I'm sure Christine will say yes. And Christine, what did you respond with?
I'm sure it was a lot of little screaming and stuff. But I think I asked you if you were serious. Because, I said, oh my God, this is the best day of my life.
Oh my God,
She
I
did.
knew it! You are
But,
you're so movie sister, Christine. I love it.
It's true. I have seen both of these films.
Mm-hmm.
I own Dracula Untold. I have a lot to say about it.
Yes.
All right, so let's dive on in. Directed by Gary Shore, who had done one thing that I really liked before this. I think it was before, which was there was a horror anthology which had like a bunch of different directors doing segments, and he did the one for St. Patrick's Day. The anthology was called Holidays, and it was like a different holiday for everything. And I remember really liking his segment, so I was looking forward to this movie, and I knew both of you really liked it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a friend of mine had me watch it, and I kind of went in eye-rolly, and by the end of it, I was blown away. I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Can I tell you my experience with it, which
Yes.
is very similar? So very
Christine Untold.
rarely, very rarely do Zach and I watch different things, not in like a codependent way. It's just like we just like to watch things together.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, watching Dracula Untold. I was like, bruh, good luck. And then he had to be like, no. I think you need to watch this.
Had he seen
And
it
I was like,
before?
no. So he starts it, and we get to Charles Dance is in this movie, everyone.
Yes.
It's going to come out, so might as well say it now. He gets to the first Charles Dance part, and he's like, no, we're going to watch this together. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And I very much arms folded, like, I don't know what you think I'm going to get out of this. Oh, I got a lot.
Yeah.
It's just really good, you guys.
It really made me lament the loss of this like
Me too.
universe. Right?
too.
Like
Oh.
what could have been.
This movie is one of the best origin stories I've ever seen. Period. It's just so good. We get all the stupid stuff you don't want to know about a character that's already established, but it's fun and it's enjoyable.
I'm just going to spend this entire episode just agreeing with Christine. So
Should I just like go to the bathroom for a really long time?
No,
what did you
I
think?
want to know what you thought.
Oh, okay. So, first of all, for anybody listening who hasn't seen it, it's on Netflix, so you can watch it that way. I am not. Okay, so I was excited to watch this because I knew you both really liked it, and it starts, and I'm into it because I loved what they did in that first scene, the opening, where it's like kind of narrating the sort of backstory, and it does this thing that's almost like a museum type wax figure thing, where it's like instead of just showing flashbacks or showing like an animated thing, it's like people that are like frozen in space, in place, and doing things, and I'm like, this is cool. Visually, this is really neat. And I do think visually this movie does a lot of really cool things. I had one glaring problem right away when I realized, I'm like, okay, what year was this movie made? And I look, and I'm like, this had to be made like this the year after 300, right? 300 was the rage. It was a very particular style we were going for, and it was okay to kind of have certain feelings about certain types of people and places of people. And then I realized it was 2014. And I'm like, I'm sorry. In 2014, we were casting Dominic Cooper as the evil Turk in dark skin makeup and making all of the dark-skinned people evil, monstrous, and here's Dracula and his blonde wife and his blonde like best man. And I was like, ugh, and it was really hard for me to turn around on that.
Let me make my joke. It's less offensive because they're not actually brown people. It's all white guys, right? It's not. It's way. No. I'm just saying.
It's a good try.
But I'm just saying it's obvious. Like,
well, like I can't tell which would have been worse. Like, would it have been worse?
Oh, they're both awful.
Right, to have cast an actor of color, like, because the way, I mean, 300 is really, really bad at this. Like 300, again, like I like 300 in terms of like I enjoy watching it. It's like hot men and brutal violence and all that. But also every time I watch it, I'm like, well, this movie is really racist and homophobic. And again, like, I don't know, yes, it is. But this is 2014. It feels really late to be casting, like, because at first I'm like, hey, Dominic Cooper, maybe he's Italian. No, he's not. Like, it's not even that. Like, no, he's not even Mediterranean. Like, he's a fucking white British guy. And they darken him and make him a Turk. And the villainry is so, like, seedy, which is fine. But why are all the white people so good? It really bugged me, and I'm sorry, because it really did, like, was just this big chip on my shoulder that I had a hard time getting past. But there's other stuff here I really liked.
You know, sometimes things like that get me. Sometimes they don't, and I wish that I could like put a pin on why. Like I could figure out what offends me and what doesn't. I remember watching Anchorman. I hate the movie Anchorman because of its sexist misogyny. And like I realized that's the point, but the entire time I couldn't enjoy the movie. Because like in my head I'm just like, why do women have to work twice as hard to get half as much in this? You shouldn't have to,
It's really saying something here.
Yeah, I just couldn't let it go. And other times I can go along for the ride.
Same.
This one I went along for the ride and it didn't stand out to me glaringly, mostly because like I don't really know what a Turk is. I just know that's none of my business. So it didn't stand out much to me, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But let's keep going because there are some really good. Luke Evans is fantastic.
Luke Evans is a god among gay men.
He is, man.
Perfection.
Yeah.
I would just like to pause here to again tell everybody that they should really watch Immortals for no other reason than the fact that Luke Evans is literally a god in it, and all that stuff is filmed incredibly well, and he looks really cool.
Yeah.
So if you're into Luke Evans the way I am, it's worth a watch.
So
I'm not even gonna lie, I don't know what that is. What is Immortals?
It's Immortals. It's a Henry Cavill movie.
It's Tarsum who did The Cell and The Fall.
Oh yeah.
But like also
Greek
there's this whole thing. Yeah,
there's so many helmets. Mickey Rourke wears a helmet, and like every scene it's a different helmet.
All that stuff is boring, but then they get up into the sky and it's beautiful, and people have lovely crowns and nice outfits.
Yeah, the costumes, I think, because here's a funny tie-in. Because I will say, watching this movie, like 20 minutes into it, I'm like, man, it's been way too long since I've watched Bram Stoker's Dracula. And midway through this movie, I'm like, we don't own a good copy. I'm buying Bram Stoker's Dracula. And 2 days after I watched this, me and Brandon sat down and we watched Bram Stoker's Dracula. And
nice.
I mean, yeah, perfection. And that movie too, the costumes are incredible. I believe it's the same costume designer who did, because I know she did a bunch of Tarsum's movies. I know she did The Cell and The Fall. I think she might have also done the costumes in Immortals. So there's your tie-in.
I love that you're just saying Tarsum like that's a thing. What is a Tarsum?
It is a thing. A Tarsum is a man who has directed movies. Does he go by one name? Like I think it's like Tarsum Singh, but then at one point he's like a lot of these one-named people were like for a while they can use two names, and then they hit the point where it's like no. Like so right now, okay, I just looked him up.
Yeah, you're right. It is you had
it's Tarsum Singh, but if you look at like director, it's like director as Tarsum or as Tarsum Singh. So it depended maybe on like what he was doing, whether he wanted to use his full like
He makes beautiful movies.
Gorgeous movies. They're not always very good, but they are gorgeous to look at.
Always beautiful.
Yeah.
Like McGee. I got it. Okay.
Very much. Yes, he is but yes, he's a better McGee, but he's still a McGee.
I can't co-sign that. I've seen a McGee movie.
Honestly, one of my favorite films is Charlie's Angels, the original Charlie's Angels.
Oh my God, of course. Yes.
And I think a big reason is it is so beautifully filmed. Every skin tone, every lock of hair, everything is the most gorgeous photo you've ever seen in your life, and I think that really influenced my love of that movie. So that's where I'm coming from with that. Like McGee is great visually.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think McGee is like the commercial Tarsum.
Okay, all right, I can get behind that. I will watch this Immortals movie.
And verified, I think it's Aiko Ishioka who won the Oscar for Dracula's costumes. Also did the costumes for Immortals. What?
Oh, nice.
It all comes together. Did she do the costumes for Dracula Untold? She did not.
Oh,
sorry, everybody. Sorry.
Emily, I will say that this film also really made me want to rewatch Bram Stoker's Dracula, and my movie friends that we always get together and watch movies with, have never seen it, and I'm dying to watch it.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
I wish I had never seen it.
I know. I wish I could experience it again. It's one of the most visually beautiful films I've ever seen.
Oh, completely. It is also, because I realized, I don't think I had sat down and rewatched it beginning to end since I had seen it in the theater when I was 10. Yes, I know. Weird. But it is a movie, too, that is, aside from just being, gorgeous and entertaining and all this, it is I don't know if the rest of you have this experience. It's a very specific sexual movie. If you were, a horror kid at that age, very impressionable movie. When I look at it, I'm like, oh, this explains a lot about me.
Yeah.
Right?
That was the peak age of horny movies. And, I seeing it, you're a little younger than I am. So how old were you when you saw it?
I was 10.
10, okay. I think I was like 17,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I got more of it. I can imagine being very like, oh, why does my bathing suit area feel that way?
Exactly.
Like, I had seen it earlier. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
But I do think Dracula Untold also is at times very much like not specifically, but it is definitely inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula.
100%. Absolutely. The Undying Love, like Dracula as a horny lead
Mm-hmm.
that, like, yeah, totally.
The way I don't understand how gravity works in either of those movies. Like that his wife plummets out of a very, spoiler alert, very like high tower where like obviously she's not gonna she's gonna die. But like how does that kill you? Doesn't it kill you when you like hit the ground? But instead, like she's dying in both cases, right? Like like she's still talking to him after having fallen thousands of feet to the ground.
I think it's because they don't want to show her broken body.
Yeah, but they should.
It's not that kind of movie, though. I
Yeah.
think it's supposed to be more romantic.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
like-
not realistic.
Where, like, if she gets a cut, it's that beautiful cheekbone cut, you know,
Mhm.
the one line. It's that kind of movie.
Yes,
and I'm
it's-
fine with
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's
that
fair.
has its place.
That's fair. I don't know why it bothered me so much, because normally I can get past that. But it was like, wait, come on! She died! Like 10 minutes ago in that very long fall.
Can I tell you something, though? And this is a physics thing, so I don't know. I'm not smart. But, like, I understand that, like, two things. Couldn't he have turned into a bat and, like, been the bat?
The entire time, he could have turned into a bat. Yes.
Because he couldn't fall faster than her. They were both falling at the same rate, but he could also be a bat that could then fly faster than she was falling. So that's what bothered me.
And then turn into a man, and then turn into human vampire, whatever, and like cushion her fall. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The selective battery of Dracula.
That's a problem with. I mean, because so essentially, we didn't really give much.
Yeah,
up to this
Christine,
movie.
take it away.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, but no, this was going to be the Dracula in the Dark Universe. If everybody remembers the Dark
Well,
Universe.
it wasn't intended to while filming. They realized towards the end,
Yep.
oh, wait a minute, we're building something. We could do something here.
Yep. So technically, Luke Evans was going to be the Dracula in your Tom Cruise Mummy, Johnny Depp Invisible Man sandwich. Like that was what was going to happen, maybe. So this is kind of like this ends up being like a Dracula origin story superhero movie. So it's a Dracula story, but in kind of like the superhero format, which is interesting and strange.
You're right.
And also fantastic and wonderful. But because of that, it's a very strange movie tonally sometimes.
Yes.
Because it's doing a lot of different things. Because it's doing Dracula shit, but it's also doing like escalation and like big fights and superhero stuff. And then, like Emily pointed out, a woman falls to her death and looks perfect as she hits the ground, and then just I guess dies from the shock of the fall. So it's a very strange movie. I don't remember my original point, but I felt like it was really important to point out that it is essentially a Dracula superhero movie.
Well, was it always intended to be PG-13, do we think?
Oh, boy.
I mean, I
with
think
stuff like that fall.
Yeah.
I don't know, with the money put into this, there's such a high budget. I'm sure that they were shooting for PG-13. They wanted kids to go see this movie.
Yeah, he's a very safe Dracula.
Exactly. And I think that's another thing that kind of, for me, because as we know, there is a very large contingent of annoying movie people out there who are like, it sucks because it's PG-13. We are not those people. I am, Christine and I especially are very happy with a great PG-13 movie that understands exactly what it's doing, and PG-13 can be terrifying. This is one of those cases where it feels like it is that had it been like we can go R, we can go for more adult, I do think things would have clicked into place better. Because there is something about the very nature of like exactly what's going on with the Turks in this case, with their enemy who are enslaving boys. Like there are things going on that the movie like can't go into, and as you said, you have a hero, like your hero is very morally supreme and all of that. And I do wonder if it could have I don't know, if it would have been a little bit more substantial if they could have pushed a little harder.
Well, I think with an anti-hero, like that's essentially what how they're painting Dracula as like
Hmm.
a guy who's like torn between two worlds, dark and light, etc. An R always works for that genre. I mean, that's like Deadpool. That's why Deadpool's so successful, because he's kind of an edgy superhero, and he's not really X-Men.
Hmm.
Yeah, he doesn't fit into the X-Men, but he doesn't fit into the villains. He's somewhere in between. He's his own third thing, and so I think an R always works for like a conflicted villain. So yeah, it would have been better as an R,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
Yeah. Just because I don't think he had, like, not that he doesn't have conflict, but, like, he feels more like Superman, where there's no doubt ever that he's going to bite his son or do anything bad, because he seems just so good.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say that I would have a problem with that, except for the fact that the movie does something I think is very interesting, and I wish it had been. Forget the whole Turks thing, because I agree with you, Emily. It's just you're just stepping in shit with that. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
But like all that whole kind of like Charles Dance like gave him this vampirism that he could handle, and then like these motherfuckers in his village just like are vampires and are awful people or awful vampires and can't handle it and just start biting everybody and being pieces of crap. And I thought that was really interesting because it like kind of highlighted, like, it actually gave you a reason to be like, wow, Luke Evans is a superior person, because look at all these people when they get it, they can't handle it. So it gave you like something to juxtapose it against, which a lot of things where you have that like sterling perfect hero don't ever do that. You
Yeah,
just
I
kinda
think I wanted more of that, though, because
Yeah, me
it
too,
happens so
totally, yeah.
quickly, right? You don't even
Sure.
realize, like, I didn't even quite realize, oh, he's turning people, because they don't show it. And then,
The whole movie. It should have been the whole movie.
it could have been the whole movie. And then you have, they've defeated the Turks. He turns around and there's a bunch of vampires around. It's like, oh, okay, great. Here's who's left. You guys and my son. Oh, God, you're going to come. Okay, fine. You're all dead. Son out. We're all dead. Like, it is probably a minute of screen time that you get that realization and get to think about it. And it's just, yeah, I think there's, like, patches of this movie that I wanted expanded, and other parts that I think they would have been better suited to not as dive into as much.
No,
That's
totally.
a
I
really
completely agree.
That's a really interesting point, because so many movies, it's the chosen one. We got your Harry Potters and your Luke Skywalkers, and you're never really told why they're the chosen one. They just are. It's
Right.
divine intervention, and they're
Well,
just
or it's their
great for
daddy,
some
or their uncle, depending on your
Right,
grandfather.
which Star Wars you're watching.
The one I
However that
don't
family's
acknowledge.
fucking up the universe this week. But this one, I think that that's a really good point, that it showed that this person like had the moral fortitude to handle vampirism, whereas most people don't. That's why he is the vampire. He is Dracula, the king of vampires, because he could handle it. I think that's what the movie's saying. I'm not saying that Dracula is. I'm not a Dracula apologist, everybody. I want to make sure that's out there. But I think in this movie, that's what it was trying to say, that he's the one who could actually handle this curse.
And I think that's one of the coolest things that it does, because like the whole protecting your kingdom thing is kind of like obvious and stale. So it's neat that it did something else. And then all the Charles Dance stuff. I don't know if you guys enjoyed all that weird lore in his performance as much as I did.
Oh, I will always. There's never been a time in my life when I have not enjoyed Charles Dance.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And he's one of those actors who I love, who, like, no matter what he's in, he's going for it.
Yeah, chewing shit up in this. It was really fun to watch. And that's what makes me so sad about it, because, spoiler, we get all that stuff, Dracula origin story stuff, and then we're in, like, present day, with, like, hot present day Luke Evans.
And hot present day Charles Dance.
Exactly. Yeah. And he re-meets his wife, like very Bram Stoker's in that way, and her name is Mina. And we're like, oh my God, I started crying. I get really emotional about it. But like, I was like, oh God, they're going to be together. It's so beautiful. And then Charles Dance is there, and he's like going to call in his favor. And that's the shit we missed out on.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that movie.
Yeah.
It's tricky. On one hand, yes. On the other, it's the thing I always feel whenever there's like an actor that has so much to them, and you're like, no, I don't want you stuck in that role forever.
I guess that's true, but like I don't know. I could have taken at least one more Luke
Yeah.
Evans Dracula movie.
Fair.
And that could have been more of a springboard. Like he's prolific. He's in a lot of things, but he's never had a big star role. I want to see him in some big starring roles. I want to see him as a leading man and as more of an action star. He's so charismatic.
He was.
I agree.
He had a. I mean, I feel like he was the hot thing for a while. I don't know that he like. I mean, right? Wasn't
Like
he? Was he Gaston
Beauty and the Beast?
in Beast?
Yeah.
In Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was guest on in that. I tried to watch it. I can't get through that movie.
Yeah.
No, I can't handle any of these Disney movies that are still just
Hmm.
animated, but not like they're. I don't like. They make me uncomfortable, and I don't like them.
Yeah, I haven't watched one. I
Yeah.
have no desire.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I feel like I thought he was. I mean, I guess it's like some of the weird little things that like I've seen him in, like High Rise. But you're right, and he's in some of the Fast and the Furiouses, which I did not know.
Yeah. He's barely in them though.
Yeah.
As most of the villains in that, he's not the centerpiece, which is a shame.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
and
it's
when
because. Oh, sorry.
Well, when I say leading man, I mean opening a film. I don't think Luke
Yeah.
You're
Evans
right.
can open a film. Like hit on his name alone. I wish that for him though. I think
you're
he
right.
could have been that star.
Yeah, it's purely because somehow the few things I watch on TV happen to be things that he was in, like
Yeah.
9 Perfect Strangers and The
Yeah.
Alienist that I
Right,
tried to
actually.
do and gave up on. Like, yeah,
Me too.
I was watching Palm Royale, which we talked about via text
Mm-hmm.
a little bit earlier, and there was one actor on there. I was like, "Who is this guy? I know this guy." And I went to IMDb like you always do, and I started looking through, and it's that thing where I don't know him from any one thing, but he was in every single TV show I watched when I was a kid. Like he was on Newhart, he was on Night Court, he was on Cheers. You know?
The other part to that is he could have also been in a lot of commercials you've seen.
Oh,
That's what I've
probably.
started going crazy watching because I keep seeing that same thing happen where I'll see an actor and I'm like, no, I know I've seen this guy. I know this guy. I know that voice. I know how he says the word cleaning. And then suddenly it dawns on me. I'm like, yeah, I'll never find it, but he must have been in a commercial for vacuums.
Yeah, and you can even see like an image of him. Like, no, I
Yeah.
can picture him in a suit, tipping a hat.
Right.
What the fuck is that from?
Yeah, I could picture like him spilling juice on, his wife's dress and her rolling her eyes, but then taking care of it, Yeah.
You're probably right. A lot of it is commercials.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Anyway, yeah. But you're right. Luke Evans has not had the career I thought he did.
Yeah.
In my mind, like he was just everywhere for a while. But you are right. He works very steadily. I'm sure he, is employed and has health insurance. But he should be a leading man, and it is odd.
He was our best shot as an out
Yes.
gay leading man, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other out gay actors, but like Matt Bohm, pretty face. I don't know if there's much there. He's talented enough. I don't know if he's a leading man necessarily.
It's not the same. There's something about Evans that is that he is
Yeah.
the leading man.
When they talk
he just
about
doesn't have the filmography.
Yeah,
to
he has the
back it up,
body, he has the
unfortunately.
face, he has the charisma.
Yeah.
And I think too, and
Neatness, the nerve, the talent.
all of those things.
And I think he can play gay and straight, which I think is one of those things that often comes up because he came out pretty early in his career, I believe. Like I think it was one of those things. If and I could be wrong about this, but I think it was a case where like people knew, and he just kind of said like, okay, I'll come out then and say it. Like I don't know that he was ever intending to, but it, good for him. I'm sure many people are very glad he did. Did it hurt his career at all? I have no idea. But I agree. He could be a superhero. He could be James Bond. Why isn't he James Bond? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We haven't even mentioned that.
Right.
Wait, is he
Yeah.
James Bond? Do we know who James Bond is yet? Did they announce it?
I think we
They
do.
did, didn't they? It's somebody stupid or somebody boring, right?
I think it was somebody I wasn't interested in, but I don't know. I don't really know.
Who will play the
know-
next James Bond? Oh, it's
Yeah,
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Okay.
Oh,
Ew.
see, I was right.
Yeah. There's
No,
so many
no shade to
people-
him. I'm sure he's great.
Sure. I sound so shallow when I go on this diatribe, but I am so sick of Hollywood trying to shove weird faces down my throat and tell me they're attractive. Like,
I
I'm
like
sorry,
weird faces.
the guy from The Bear, I just can't with your goony Gene Wilder looking ass face. I can't get down with this. You might have a hot body, but put a bag over your head. I know I sound horrible, but he's not attractive. He's kind of goony, which goony is fine. but it's not necessarily attractive.
See,
And like Benedict Cumberbatch and your weird Cro-Magnon eyebrows. I don't like it. Stop making me try to like it.
I mean, as somebody who likes the weird little dudes, but I don't like those weird little dudes. I like the weird dudes who are like actively, not considered attractive, but
They're
not the ones
trying
that they're
it.
shoving down my throat. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like mostly people see a hot body, they're like, "Hey, this
yeah.
guy's hot." I'm like, "No, you can't just be 94% of a hot person. I need the head as well. I'm sorry."
I think the guy from The Bear is hot, though.
Oh, really? I think he's
I
cross-eyed.
do.
I'm not going to get into this. I sound
It's
so
okay. No,
shallow.
no. I'm just saying. No, no, no. I think there might be something in that like weird hetero part of my brain that's like this guy's hot, right? Like I can't help it. I do like awful men sometimes.
Yeah, we all do.
I think I can.
It's there.
It's one of those things. I get it on Jeremy Allen White, the bear dude, the bear.
Oh, that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I
No, you're right.
I get it. It doesn't click for me, but like I can see somebody next to me looking, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's not like we're others where I'm like, I just don't see it. But
Do you remember when everybody tried to convince us that red-headed guy from like CSI was hot back in the 90s? What's his?
oh, good God.
You know.
David Caruso.
David Caruso. They kept trying to tell us that he was the next sex symbol. I was like, go fuck yourself. No, he's not. Ew. He's fine. That's a fine face. Don't tell me it's hot. I am the most shallow person.
Next,
Oh, God.
I want Jason on a dating show so badly.
You can edit that out, right?
No, I do not know how.
Yeah, we don't edit here, buddy. They get it all.
Fun. Okay, great.
Raw
Well,
dog.
there goes my Q rating. So
Yeah, I definitely want to see a dating show with you.
I am so canceled. Oh my God.
Fozzie's comments about David Caruso have sent the internet.
It's all gonna come back to this.
He's
Okay, let's
really
move
good
on.
in Hudson Hawk. Okay.
What?
You
Okay,
just-
wait. Let's move on.
This is
Dracula
a great
Untold.
episode. Yeah.
So, yes, Dracula Untold is a movie that I thought was entertaining enough, but I don't know that I would, be buried with it the way both of you will.
Okay. I feel about this movie the way I feel about Alien versus Predator. Like, I know it's
That's
not
fair.
a good movie,
Yeah.
but it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. It's so as someone who I think by 2014 I was kind of no, definitely I was out already on superhero movies.
Mhm. Okay.
So it's tough to be like a comic book fan and feel like the mass amount of movies that are being made are not for you somehow.
Yeah.
So like this really
Yeah.
scratched an itch of like, well, I like that shit. I read comic books.
Yeah.
Gimme. This I think delivered a lot more than definitely Marvel stuff, but like even DC stuff. Like it felt like it was doing it right in a way. So I think that's why I'm maybe a little bit apologetic, or maybe I don't even see like the things that are wrong with it because I'm just so excited about the fact that it exists.
I think it's a really interesting lens to watch it in, because I've never been a comic book person, so I never had like that full cycle with those movies. I enjoyed a few of the Marvel movies, and then suddenly I realized they were getting complicated and convoluted, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. But it wasn't like, and I think we've talked about this, like for me, I've always been not like hard horror, but like I want horror. I don't want
Mhm.
like, it's why I was never a comic book person in a way, and like superheroes to me, I never got, because I'm like, I don't know, like nothing, like there's no real danger to superheroes to
Yeah.
me.
Where's
And
the darkness? Too?
Right, and growing up, that's very much what it was. And even in recent years, like you can say, oh, they got darker, but like they didn't. They still always have to come back to a certain ending, and nobody ever really crosses a line. And if they do, they undo it in the end credits or in the next movie. So it was always a thing to me that like this never felt as, it was like reading mysteries when I was a kid. It was the same. I'm like, no, like I don't know, it's all solved. There's nothing. I want something harder and crueler in this part of my life. So this, I can see that like where this does give you the action, like the way the action is, where it's not like really brutal battlefield stuff, but it's pretty cool battlefield stuff, and it's visual, and it's neat, and it's choreographed, and it has that feeling. And yeah, like I enjoyed a lot of aspects of this, and I was not bored.
And I will say too, Christine, you love the Gilmore Girls, right? Is that you?
I've never seen an
And
episode.
and you haven't either, Emily, right?
I've never been able to watch an episode of that show. It annoys me.
Understandable.
I find it
That's fine.
annoying as fuck.
But for me, a lot of people say it's just like, oh, rich white people with problems, and I'm like, yeah, sometimes that's what I want.
Oh,
I
of
don't
course.
want to think.
Yeah.
I don't want to be challenged. I just want to go in kind of knowing what I'm going to get.
Yep.
And this was just a great action movie, and I kind of knew what I was going to get, but it
Mhm.
did it really, really well.
And
It did what I
beautifully.
wanted. Yeah. So I'm not saying to turn off your brain, but like sometimes you don't necessarily need to be challenged with every single movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just sit back and enjoy something for what it is and what they're giving to you. And I think this is a perfect example of
And the visuals of this movie, this is a movie that to just watch it, like even if you, and I mean the music's pretty good too, but even if you muted it and didn't listen to anything and just
Mhm.
looked at it, it's gorgeous. And I mean the costumes are gorgeous, even though they weren't the same Dracula lady. They were by the lady that did Lord of the Rings and who also has an Oscar. So there's very good quality to that. And like there's some visual stills, like while we were talking, I had the IMDb page up, so the trailer kept playing, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, yeah, this looks like a Tarsem movie, which is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I not to divert, but I recently watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and I was really anxious going into it because, as I mentioned, Alien versus Predator, we all know how
Mhm.
Alien versus Predator 2 went, where you couldn't see a goddamn thing, and so I'm really burned by dark
Yeah.
films that take place mostly at night now. This film and The Last Voyage of the Demeter, I feel like they got night shots.
Mm.
It's so hard to do that where it's not just some strobe, or you get the pixelization that you usually get with darkness on a big TV.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with the way they did night shots in both of these movies. You were able to tell what was going on,
Mhm.
and I was happy with it.
Yeah. That's important.
Yep. So A plus. We do that?
Why not? Sure.
A+.
Yeah.
This was I audited this movie. I don't have to grade it.
Okay.
Exactly. Nice.
All right. Any more to say on Dracula Untold?
Not from me.
I'm just sad for what they took from us. I will say that
Oh.
once again. I really would have liked to see this universe. As I enjoy the Marvel universe, I actually do like the intricacies of it and how you can gossip about. Like, I watch the videos that are like, "Ooh, does this mean that this character is going to come in? And what does this character's reference mean to the?" I love those, and I'll
I
watch
hate
new
that.
rock
I hate that so much.
I know. I love that shit. I'll watch new rock stars every day. I love that. And this could have been such a more intriguing, it could have been the Penny Dreadful of the cinematic universe. Like, who are they bringing in this week?
I guess for me, that's fine for TV. I don't want movies like that because the amount of time between me watching a movie and watching the next movie, which could be a year, could be 10 years. Like the idea that you're not getting everything because you didn't see the addendum video and stay for the end credits that happened 15 minutes after the movie ends. Like I'm okay with other media expecting work out of me, but I want my movies to be self-contained.
That's really funny because,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm that way with television now. And you remember, well, I used to be, let me say. I used to be that way. Remember when we watched Game of Thrones together? And I
do.
just sat there angrily on my phone the
I
whole
do.
time? It was because that show expected too much from me. I don't know who all these people are. They're all named like Longinus. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's related to who, et cetera, et cetera. And when I tuned out, when I decided to not watch that show anymore, is when Arya went up to some boat and asked for a ride, and they said no. And then she pulled out a coin from her pocket, and they're like, "Oh my God, right on board." And then you and my ex George were both looking at me like eyebrows, eyebrows, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" And you're like, "Don't you remember that coin from a year ago?" And I'm like, "Bitch, I do not remember a coin from a year ago."
But that's what
How am I supposed to?
because they do the
So I
previously
was
on Game of
angry that
Thrones,
that
and they
show
tell you what
expected a lot
happened
out
a couple
me,
of
but now
episodes
with new
ago.
rock stars, it just tells me.
Yeah.
I can just go and they'll tell me what I need to know before I go see the new movie.
Okay. Was The Mummy the only other movie they made?
No. But I can't answer
Continue.
you. Oh, hold on. I have to look it up. I'm sorry. No, they did The Mummy.
Which did either of you see The
No.
Mummy?
I did like 3 times.
Oh,
I don't love it.
Silence. Is there talking right now?
There is talking.
Am I the
no.
only one?
There is talking. I don't know why AI's. I do know why AI's lying to me because it's not accurate. I just want the Dark Universe movies, but it keeps giving me what they were always gonna do, and it's like, bro, that doesn't help me.
This is why robots are not our friends, everybody.
I don't care. Yeah, definitely The Mummy.
I think it was just The Mummy.
Yeah, you're right. I think it was.
Yeah.
In my heart, it was so much more.
It was going to be so much more, right? Because then I think you're right. I think it was going to be an Invisible Man, and then they were going to do like Dracula Untold meets the Invisible Mummy or something.
Oh wait, weren't they going to try to tie in that Frankenstein with handsome face?
The Aaron was it the Aaron Eckhart one?
Yeah, Aaron Eckhart. Weren't they going to tie that in? That's what
I don't know.
Wait, what about the Wolfman? Wasn't the Wolfman the Benicio del Toro?
That was so much older, wasn't it? Wolfman was like 2008.
Who wasn't that one woman
2010
married to Brad Pitt? What is her name?
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Wasn't she supposed to be in something? I hope this is all recording, and I hope this.
I did press record again. So yes.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, you know what? I think I might be confused about though. Let me just clear this up. Russell Crowe is in The Mummy as like Dr. Jekyll / Mr. Hyde, and they were gonna do a movie. So maybe that's all.
Okay,
that's it.
Wow. They had ambition, and then very quickly they realized it was not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well,
I regret. It's my one regret in life.
If I could go back and change time.
Me too.
That
honestly.
and Sharon Christina not having a duet
in burlesque. Oh God, why bring that up, Jason? We were having so much fun, and now I have to go to bed thinking about how the perfect movie that is burlesque has one imperfection, and that is the fact that they do not have a duet between Christina Aguilera and Cher. Why? Why would you do that to me?
You can't go to bed yet because we have one more movie to talk about.
Yes, we do. Let's take a quick break. We're not taking a break. I'm going to say that so that I can hit stop on the recording, and then we can come back and talk about Abigail. And we're going to come back and talk about Abigail.
What did you guys do on your break?
I went to Guam.
Yeah, I called my grandma in Guam. Wait, where in Guam?
So,
my grandma lives in Guam City.
The capital of Guam.
Yeah, I assume.
Where they're filming The Mummy 2.
Yeah, God willing.
Starring Russell Crowe and Angelina Jolie. And other actors from the late 90s. Abigail.
I just watched, Abigail.
No, what did you just watch?
I just watched The Exorcist recently, the new...
Oh, like the Pope's Exorcist or The Exorcist, the last Exorcist?
Pope's Exorcist is so good, you guys.
Well, see, but not that one. This is the one with Russell Crowe.
The last Exorcist, the final Exorcist, the real exorcism?
No, this is called The Exorcist, I think.
No, it's not. It's called The Something Exorcist.
Oh, is
Hold
it?
on.
It's what's his name? Who did it's the boy we all love who was the little brother in Teen Witch, who then wrote Final Girls, wrote this movie that is an Exorcist movie. The Exorcism.
Yeah. Russell Crowe has 2 Exorcist movies, so we really need to be clear about what.
Isn't it soon to be 3? Because isn't there a Pope's Exorcist 2 coming up? Maybe not.
I hope so.
Okay.
Oh, and holy shit, you're right. I am so confused. Okay, I did watch The Exorcism.
Yes, you
did. Okay. And oh god, this is gonna make me get canceled again. But Russell Crowe is such a pudgy little old man now. It's kind of cute. He looks adorable. Because Russell Crowe is like the Gladiator to me in my head. I really.
You mean the Gladiator?
The Gladiator. So seeing him in this movie, I was like, oh my god, how old am I? That's terrifying.
So do you want me to tie this conversation into Abigail? Because I got a way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go back in time. The year is somewhere between like 1999. No, it's like 2001, 2002. And I go to a Broadway show with my friend and I think maybe my brother or something. We went to see The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, the Broadway musical. You've never heard of it because it only ran for a couple of months. It starred a young Kristen Bell in the part of Becky Thatcher. And we go to see this Broadway musical, and it's like very clear that like it's not a big crowd there. Like it was definitely, I think like we got tickets from someone. It was somebody's friend was actually in the show, so that's why we were there in the first place. And it was not a packed house. It was the year that like the producers opened or something, so it was like everybody was talking about every other show other than this one. But we're in the audience, and the usher, it's like me and a couple of my friends, and so we're like, I don't know, 19, 20, something like that. And one of the ushers was like, kind of like, we thought he was just trying to flirt with us, because he keeps like, at intermission, he comes, he's like, hey, you know who's here? We're like, no, we don't. Russell Crowe. No, I think he didn't say it. He was like, you know that guy from, what's the movie? Like the Gladiator movie? We're like, yeah, Russell Crowe. He's here. We're like, really? He's like, yeah, he's way down. He's like, you can't see him yet because I think he's backstage now, but like, he's here. He was he was like smoking in the back, and now he's like watching the show. We're like, oh, really? And the entire second act, we're like, do you think Russell Crowe's really here? And of course, never thinking, why is Russell Crowe at The Adventures of Tom Sawyer on Broadway? He doesn't have kids, like, and it's, I don't know, not the Broadway show you'd picture Russell Crowe going to.
Right.
But the show ends, and the usher is like, he's leaving. If you leave quickly, you might be able to catch him. So we're like, okay! And we all just, like, run out of this Broadway theater thinking we're going to see Russell Crowe. And sure enough, we get to the street, and there was a bunch of, like, other people around us that were doing the same thing. And we see this, like, little old lady in front of us who just, like, walks over, because we see this man crossing the street. And we're like, is that him? And this lady's like, I'm getting him! And she just runs across, and with, like, a program, I think. And, like, you see him turn around and just look at her and, like shrug and, like, sign, and then, like, wave and walk away. We're like, holy shit, that was Russell Crowe. Why was Russell Crowe at The Adventures of Tom Sawyer on Broadway? Can anybody take a guess?
Court-ordered service, maybe?
No.
So then I'm out.
As on the way home on the train, I'm going through the program and doing usually what I used to play was the Law and Order game, where you tried to see how many actors in the cast had guest starred on Law and Order.
Sure.
But I stopped quickly on because I see an actor. I don't recognize the name, but I'm looking at his credits, and I see one of his credits is the movie Mystery Alaska. I'm like, Russell Crowe was in Mystery Alaska.
Oh.
Russell Crowe came to see his friend, Kevin Durand, who is in Abigail.
Oh my God, what a great
Yeah, it only took us 35 minutes to get there, but I thought we had to tie it together.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah.
The guy who invented the Segway should give you a star.
Or a Segway.
He died, right?
I would just take a Segway.
Yeah.
He died like in a Segway accident, didn't he?
Oh, how ironic.
Irony.
I think he did.
Killed by the very Segway he never wanted to be
Or
killed
was
by.
it that his name is Segway? There's something really, really like wow about that guy. It's one of the two things. Anyway, Abigail, starring Kevin Durand from Mystery Alaska and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer on Broadway.
You know, it's funny. When I saw this guy, I was like, I bet that's a guy Emily finds really hot.
I do.
Is that...
Yeah,
okay.
of course I do. Christine, you do too, don't you?
Emily and my mom.
Oh, okay. You have a type.
I do.
Kevin Durant in Lost. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it might be situationally specific with him for
That's
me.
fair.
I don't think it's across the board.
What's
But
that
he
movie
was
where he's
very
like a
cute.
cop in a small town and he...
With the werewolf thingies or whatever?
Yeah, like the monster
love that
thingies of some
movie.
kind. Like, he's hot in
No
that.
idea. No idea.
Oh,
but I
oh.
immediately thought of that movie too, Emily. I don't know. We're
Yep.
the only two people. I
Dark
think that-
something.
Wait, and it's about the sheriff, and then it turns out that it's the mortician who's dressing like a werewolf? That movie?
Maybe.
Oh, the movie I
No,
just spoiled?
that's like Wolf Hollow, Wolf something.
Yeah. The guy that
That's-
was murdered first in Halloween Kills.
Yeah, Jim Cummings, his
Yes!
movie. Yeah,
Thank you. I
We
love
did
that.
Dark was the night.
Dark was the night.
that was a good movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. Anyway, so Abigail.
Abigail. Starring Dark Was the Night's Kevin Durand.
Okay.
Okay, so Christine had seen it before, and I knew kind of how she felt about it, but she also had said, when you talked about it, you said, if you ever want to cover it, I would watch it again, because I'm curious. I'm saying as in I'm Christine. You said, I'd be curious if I could see something different the second time.
Yeah, I did say that.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. I'm really,
Yes.
because I have a little insight. She told us beforehand that there was one of these movies that she hated, and by the
Oh,
process of elimination, I'm wondering, is hate a
so
strong word?
hate is a strong word. So I'm
Okay.
trying to write horror movies in Hollywood, so I really would like to watch my mouth more. I didn't hate this movie by
Okay.
any stretch. This movie was not for me.
Mm.
If I had seen this movie when I was 14, it would have been my entire personality. Um,
Hmm.
this movie is not for me. I am not the audience for this movie.
So I am fascinated because I will cards on the table. I didn't love it. I liked
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
And I watched it with my husband. At this point, it was like 2 weeks ago. And the movie ends, and we kind of look at each other, and it was the rare. Usually, it's the reverse, where he looks at me, he's like, "I loved it," and I'm like, "I liked it. I didn't love it."
Interesting.
And
Brandon's such a wild
I,
card.
he's you're telling me, 10 years married to this wild card.
Wow.
And I mean, it was, I would say, because I'm trying to remember like the other, because of these guys' other things, like Ready or Not, I really enjoyed, and I've only seen it one time. I know Christine has very strong feelings on it. Brandon loved Ready or Not. And so I think it's like an interesting, like, okay, I think these guys are speaking to you now. I did not like either of their screams, but those are movies that I do very much feel like the way Christine, I think you feel about Abigail, I know I am not the target audience for their screams. I get it. It's the ship has passed me by. They're not for me anymore. Um, with Abigail, there are certain filmmaking things I think that are not great here. The ending of this movie that goes on for 9 years.
Oh,
A character telling another character how to kill her. I don't understand how that can, like, how you put that in a movie like that. Like, there's some exposition, like some of the writing even, and I know they didn't write this was another screenplay, but there's like certain things about this movie that I think are clunkier. And so again, two things. I did enjoy it's a fun movie. I like it. But the
Hmm.
other thing that hurt this movie for me, and I know I said the same thing about The Omen recently, was it's no matter what you do, it's really hard not to hear hype for a movie. And this was one that, because with The Omen, the new Omen, it was like movie critics that were saying this is great. And then I watched it and I'm like, but it's not. And with Abigail, it was like our brethren. It was horror movie fans who were all over this. Like, this is the perfect movie. I'm like, it's good. Why can't I feel the magic that you're feeling? So,
Hmm.
Jason,
uh,
where do you live? Oh, I'm sorry, Christine.
no, I just real quick because you had said it's not written by the Screms in the Ready or Nots, but one of the writers is the Screams in Ready or Not. One of the writers is the Hole in the Ground movie.
Okay,
Um,
I've not seen it.
the which is a movie I enjoyed. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There, if I gave you the elevator pitch for, if somebody came up to me and pitched this movie, I would be like, please deposit it in my hand immediately.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Because if you don't know, the setup is these criminals that don't know each other are all brought together to kidnap this little hapless tiny ballerina girl who turns out to be a vampire, and this is all a ruse, and it's like a killing trap thingy, and Matthew Good's at the end of it for no reason. But that's the movie. And that's in my opinion, it's an amazing idea. I am a From Dusk Till Dawn apologist.
Mhm.
I will go to bat for that movie until the day I die. I think this has shades of that idea, like a Zipsy Doodle, like, oh, we thought it was a heist, and now actually it's like a vampire bloodbath.
Mhm.
But that's a tough thing to pull off, and I think for me, with such big promise, it
Yeah.
just didn't pull it off.
Well, and when the marketing
And that's
didn't
all I'll
let the
say.
movie pull off its biggest thing, which
Oh no, you couldn't. You knew exactly what this was the second you sat down to watch it.
and it's such a shame because because I think the other thing that really bothers me about it is I understand why the studio felt like, no, we need to tell everybody it's a horror movie and she's a vampire. I understand that, but I need to know at what point in putting this movie together they knew they were going to do that. Because the problem is, this movie on paper and on the movie you are watching does not plays as if you don't know. it is
Yeah.
playing this as this poor little girl, and oh my God, like these people are so bad, and she's so sweet, and it's this weird dramatic irony where you as the audience are like, I don't, what is this scene doing? Because I know she's fine. I know she's a vampire because everything about the marketing has told me she is. So these
Mm.
early scenes of her and Melissa Barrera just doing this, like, it doesn't land for me because I know watching it for the first time, but she's a vampire. She's evil. I know this. And and had they not had to tell you this, it would have been great. Like, to go into this not knowing anything would have really been like, that twist would have been great. And the moment she says, I'm really sorry for you, whatever she says, like, I'm like, I'm really sorry for you, or like, you're going to be in trouble. You're like, ooh, but you don't get that because you know
Mhm.
she's a fucking vampire. And it's like 45 minutes before this happens. And
Yeah.
like, there's a certain point where you have to like go back and kill your darlings and say, well, this doesn't really work if you know, but I'm saying this and it worked for everybody else other than Christine and to an extent me. Jason, what'd you think?
Maybe Jason.
Well, it's interesting, Emily. Earlier, you stated that when we were off air during our long, long break, I think, when
Saved
that
the world 8 times, thank you very much. I filmed the next Marvel Cinematic Universal Monster movie.
well, you mentioned that there's a story that you tell about me, without using my name, but you tell this story about me because to other friends, and I kind of live on in infamy in your mind. And I have those as well, stories that I tell about people I've met over and over again. The person may be long gone from my life,
Mhm.
but I still remember the story. And one of them is a man that my mom dated when I was in, I believe, well, no, I guess it would have been high school.
Who was a vampire.
Maybe, no, I wish. They dated briefly. He would go. He was an older guy, older than my mom. He would go to the movie theater and just buy a ticket, and he'd be like, "1 ticket, please." And they'd be like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't care. Whatever's playing, I'll just." And he didn't know much about movies. He didn't
Yeah.
follow movies, but he would just spend an afternoon going to a movie. And this man got to experience from dusk till dawn, knowing
Wow,
nothing.
nothing.
Wow.
Oh, what a
Yes!
world.
He was telling me about it one time, and like shortly after, I remember like this when I was a child, him saying, "You would not believe it. They went into a bar, and then it turned out it was a vampire," and it was so exciting for him, and he got to
Oh.
experience that, going in blind, and that's what I wish for this movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's a big aspect of it, but also I feel like it one more polish on the script.
Yep.
Would have been there. Like,
Yeah.
everything was so close. All the jokes were so close. All the scares were so close, and they just didn't hit home. They were 90% of the way there, and if they'd just been given a little bit more, if Carrie Fisher could have came in, if she were
Oh
still
my God,
alive,
you're so right.
That's my favorite thing to say, Jason.
yeah,
It is beautiful.
Yes, and I would like to write movies as my profession. I often say, if someone would just let me, I won't put my name on anything. If someone would just let me take a look at some stuff, move some stuff around, punch
Mhm.
up some dialogue,
Yeah.
just so I can ship out a nice big block good movies like Carrie Fisher did.
yes, that's the dream.
That unseen hand to just come in and be like, actually, let's pull this
Yeah.
scene out. It's just, yes, I don't want to look. I haven't made a movie, so who the fuck am I to say shit? But like, there's just it frustrates me more than anything. You had the people,
Yeah.
and this cast is fucking
Yeah, oh
stacked.
God, yes.
And
And they're
you
so good. That's the other thing. How much of it is the cast versus how much of it is the script?
It's just like if we had just done a couple things slightly different, we could
Yeah.
this could have been, in my opinion, a home run. And
Yeah.
I can't that upsets me, like, just from like a writerly standpoint. Like,
Mhm.
I want to fix it. I want it to be its best thing.
Yeah.
Because you have, and I'm only going to talk about Catherine Newton for like a minute and a half. And then you have somebody like Catherine Newton who does such good work with whatever she has. And
Yes.
she makes some of the shit sing. And like, despite the fact that like other people are maybe kind of having a hard time with it, she really makes it work. And it highlights like what could have happened with this great ensemble cast if it if it had another go over, or just a little more polish, or
Well,
less studio notes. Who
Like,
knows?
you are so right, because it's like the laughs, like the funniness of it comes, I think, almost entirely from the cast and their timing.
Mhm.
Like, Catherine Newton flirting is my new favorite thing in the world. Like,
Yes.
she is one of the, like, I don't think I've realized it, because we just did Lisa Frankenstein. Like, we know how good she is. Like, she's always been
Yep.
good, and you've been singing her praises rightfully since, like, Paranormal Activity 4. But something that I don't think I realized until watching this is how well she plays off of people. And, like, her and Kevin Durand in this movie, the way she, like, even flirts with Melissa Barrera, like, just the way she's interacting with the other actors is so cute and weird and playful, and yet, like, when you, like, still think of, like, who her character is, I still don't really get it. Like, oh, she's a rich girl who hacks and just keeps hacking richer and richer people. But, like, then you go back, you're like, but she doesn't really feel like a rich girl. Like, she was hacking her parents, and then this, like, there's certain aspects of it that I'm like, this even doesn't go together. And, like, some of the timing of jokes, like the penis on the face joke,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's just I get it. Like, oh, a penis on you, somebody passed out, you draw a penis on their face. It's a joke we've seen done a million times. Sometimes it can be done very funny, whatever, it's an easy laugh. But, like, the timing of it and the way it's done is so, like, you really wanted to get that joke in here, didn't you? And you did, and now it doesn't make any sense, because how did he clean his face that easily, so quickly? And now we're never going to talk about it again. Like, it's messy, you're right, it's sloppy, it needed Carrie Fisher.
And I feel like they forgot the one rule, because they were trying to make a comedy, obviously, a comedy horror movie, and they forgot the one rule of comedy is the rule of threes. Like, there's the setup, and then there is the punchback, but then there's the punchline, and then there's the callback. The callback is incredibly important in humor, and I feel like it was just one beat, this. Like, there was nothing tied it all together. Even the story about her son, no resolution. Like, was it just like, oh, I guess, okay, she's gonna be a mom now, I guess somehow. We didn't find out how or why, or, what she was going to do next.
How much blood she's lost,
Yeah, right. How many ribs were obviously broken from being thrown around a room for 40 minutes?
By two vampires? Yeah.
Zach and I got in a bit of an argument when I rewatched this, because he kept telling me that it was a comedy, and I kept saying, I don't think it thinks it's a comedy. It is. The first thing on IMDb is dark comedy. I didn't get the humor so much that I didn't think it was trying to be funny.
Wow.
I think that really, about it wasn't for me, because if you don't understand that there are jokes, then clearly, like, it's already not on the right foot. Like, I can't get on board with this, because I don't even subscribe to this level of humor enough to call it humor. Not in a mean way.
No, obviously not.
You're not funny, but you're trying to be funny, but that's not mean.
But I didn't get that they were jokes. Like, I thought they were, like, quippy, like Whedon type quips.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call Whedon quips jokes. Because, like Jason said, there's no punchline. There's just things that somebody said. That's not a joke.
It's, it's this odd, like, because I was thinking a lot about it. And part of this is the Dan Stevens connection, but also, like, I think there's a character named Barrett. Like, I'm like, oh, there's nods here to other directors that this reminds me a lot of, which is, like, Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard, who did You're Next and, like, a couple of those movies. And it was like, I often feel the same thing in their stuff, where it's, I guess The Guest was Adam Wingard, right?
Yeah.
That, like, there's really good stuff there, and I know a lot of people that love their stuff, and, like, I can never quite get over, like, a full hump of loving them, because there is something, and you said Whedon-esque, like, I think there is something to that, of characters that have to be snarky and have to be self-aware, even though they're, it's a straight movie, but there is this winking, and there's something, like, I don't want to say bro, because, like, horror bro has a very specific connotation. And I've listened to interviews with these guys. Like, I don't know if you guys have listened to Mike Flanagan's podcast. He has one now.
I didn't know he had a podcast.
Oh yeah, what he does is he does, like, an interview with a filmmaker. Then they do a commentary watching the film. They watch the film and do, like, a talk through of it, and then there's, like, a wrap up for it. So the last episode was Karin Kasama with The Invitation, which was very exciting. And the first episode, the first set of episodes, was these guys with Ready or Not. And, like, they seem like fun guys. I'm sure they're cool. They also seem like those guys that, I think we've like seen a lot in the horror community that, really like cool shit and do stuff, but
Yeah.
don't ever hire women for their projects.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to just go there, but there is something a bit like bro-y about it that like I think, and I don't know, I might be reading much into it, but once I feel it, I'm
No,
like,
I don't think I don't think you are. I think this is the feedback I had about Ready or Not. Ready or Not made me feel icky.
yeah,
I didn't enjoy it, and
Yeah.
I don't want to boil it down to. I said I was going to stop talking about modern filmmakers on this podcast. I don't want to boil it down so much to like it needed a woman's touch, but like I maybe I just maybe a different point of view, a different perspective, somebody else's take. Like I don't know, like how they tend to. It seems like there's like women at the center of these scripts a lot,
yeah.
and I just wonder if maybe like do the women playing these roles have any like input? Like I don't know. It just feels like it's consistently falling flat for me, and I'm beginning to wonder if that's why.
Interesting.
Let me interject with a quick story that will relate. I have two really good friends, and I won't say their names. I won't call them out because they have fairly specific names. Anyway,
one is named Emily, one is named Christine.
Oh no!
No, but these two gentlemen that I know, two straight men, two of my best friends in the whole world. They're just great people. Well, I brought them together because we all play Magic the Gathering. I know I've talked about it before with you guys. So I'm such a big nerd for it now. And I play Magic with both these guys. I introduced them, and separately, I love these guys, and they are some of my favorite people. Together, they are so disgustingly bro-y that it makes me every time they see each other, they have to do some new complicated handshake. And I hate it so much. I just hate bro culture more than anything. I really regret introducing these people to each other because, like, I didn't know that side of them, and now I see this straight bro-y thing in front of me, and it's so fucking gross, you guys. I hate it. So
Is
I
that a
get
thing that straight dudes do? Like, I've never seen my husband do a weird handshake. What does this mean?
Oh, it's
Your
like
husband's not a bro.
he's not.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, no, these guys definitely have bro tendencies, and it's so funny that the guys that you think are just the coolest, like, these are both straight gentlemen.
Yeah.
We're best friends. They love everybody, every color. They're just the coolest people I know. But when you get them together with their monkey co-partners, they immediately like go back to being cavemen.
They start drawing dicks on Kevin Durant's face.
Yep. They want to spin fire in the backyard. They have fire batons, and like they do that shit. And one of them has blown fire with like alcohol in his mouth. He used to do that. Then he caught his beard on fire, and it's they're so
Wow.
crazy. One of them drives a motorcycle. So seriously though, like he has a leather vest, and like it's serious motorcycling. So like. I know one side of them, but then there's this whole other bro side that I just can't relate to. And I think that's the same with a lot of these movies. And let me say, as far as bro humor, I feel like we're really talking shit about men. I am so canceled, you guys. But to broy men, their idea of humor is just saying something. Like,
True.
I wave, it's like they'll just
What's wrong with me that I just found that very funny?
But it was fun. It was fun.
We all have a little bro in us.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Of course.
in everybody, but like the people who really lean into it, if you hang around a bunch of straight bro-y gentlemen, they're just gonna like quote Anchorman. They're just gonna say lines from things. That is not funny. That is not humor. And I feel like that's what this movie was doing. It would just show a dick on the face and be like, oh, there's a dick on his face. That no payoff, nothing else, just that. And I was so disappointed. Over and over and over again. I thought it could have been something great, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Even the thing where she escaped from the little cage they had her in, I was expecting like, ooh, how's she gonna get out of this one? This is interesting. And then it turns out she could just push the door down whenever she wanted. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
I mean couldn't you just turn into a bat and fly out of it?
Right?
I mean,
yeah, or a thousand bats at once.
I do want to say that little girl, I think it's Alicia Weir. I did love her. I thought she was fantastic.
She was great. The cast, again, just bottom to top.
Oh, yeah.
Every time somebody showed up on screen, it was exciting.
Same,
like I said,
same.
Matthew Good ends up being the vampire dad, and like very exciting to see him. Super happy to see him.
So like
there.
I know I've seen him in things. I did not know, like as soon as he showed up I'm like, oh, Michael Sheen? And then I realized it wasn't Michael Sheen. I was like, some other guy that isn't Michael Sheen.
Oh,
yeah, he
this
was
guy.
in Stoker.
Yeah. He is what's his name in
He's
The
in
Watchmen?
Stoker's good.
Adrian Veidt.
He's Ozymandias in The Watchmen. He's
Yeah.
in that weird End of the World movie where they're all wearing suits.
Yeah.
And he's in an
The
Agatha
Crown.
Christie thing. Yep, that.
Yeah. So handsome. I love his weird.
So handsome. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's the uncle in Stoker, which
Mhm.
Emily, I feel like we just talked.
Oh yeah,
about
no,
that.
we
I
love
don't
Stoker.
remember.
Yes, we were
But
Team
like,
Stoker.
yeah, I was. But like, again, if you show me this cast and show me this.
Yeah, Giancarlo
this synopsis.
Esposito, for goodness sake.
Great.
I know. So I, again, not for me, but if there are obviously people that are enjoying it, and I'm very
Yeah.
happy they are. I really like Showgirls, and a lot of people don't like that movie.
Yeah.
So we're all very different.
I don't know if you go through this too. I mean, I know, Christine, you're probably less on social media than any of us, and like I'm not on it that much. But like when you see, especially in like some of the movie groups, somebody will post a movie and just start talking about it. And this is like the exact case of a movie where like I know I would find myself being like, nope, just walk away from it. Because, and especially in this case where I didn't hate it. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but I just had so many problems with it. And I think a lot of them are coming even more to light. But it's one where I think I understand completely people enjoying it fully. And anything like I say to be like, yeah, but this just makes me feel like, oh, I'm just raining on somebody's parade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't like when they did the names, like
The
where they were
pack
wrapped-
thingy.
But like,
Yeah.
I didn't like that. But like, I'm sure some people absolutely lost their minds over it, how funny and great and clever it was. But like, I just didn't like it. It's okay though.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've also seen Reservoir Dogs. Like I've seen that,
Mhm.
and I know that because I'm old. So like that's what I mean about if I was 14, like I would have absolutely loved it.
Do 14-year-olds know who the Rat Pack is, though?
Well, I would have because I was very worldly.
Right, we did when we were kids, but like kids today don't know things before their time, and I hate to sound like a kids today that time.
No, but you're not wrong.
Okay, boomer.
Like, because even when I was a kid, I knew about like Bonanza and like stuff before
Mhm.
my time, and Peyton Place, and these soap operas that I had never seen, but I knew of them. For some reason, I just listened to my parents, I guess, talk about them, or they were on in reruns. But like younger people I talk to today, they don't know necessarily what like anything was before they were alive, unless it's streaming on Netflix.
No, it's very true. They need to, and again, not to be reductive, but they really need to like see a video about it on TikTok for somebody explaining it to them.
Yeah.
For them to have, which is fine. We just kind of all had the same playing field when we were younger, like
Right.
cable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now the playing field is the internet, and like there's no way they can all know everything.
Well, and like
Yeah.
the history is longer now. Like
Oh yeah.
when we were kids in the 80s, 90s, TV had only been around for 40 years. So everything was
That's a really good
yeah,
point.
at this point TV has been around for 80 years.
I
So
don't know why I never realized that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Sure. I get it now.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm the dummy. Let me. I want to make a point before we move on to. We can't bring up Scream without me bringing up Scream because. Whereas I loved the new films, but that is because I love Scream. Where it's like, to me, there's no such thing as a bad Scream film, because as long as I get Ghostface back, et cetera, and we have Gale and we have chases, I'm happy no matter what. I'm very easily pleased with Scream. However, there is this thing relating to Abigail that, like, I hate that I kind of instinctively don't like Melissa Barrera because I feel like she's trying to take over from Neve Campbell, and I know that's not true, but it's like the irrational feelings of like a kid with their new stepmom. Like, you'll never be my mom. you know, like, and I still have that, and I don't want to because she is great. So I'm feeling like a lot of this, like just like this movie might be irrational, and I feel like I have to put
Mm.
that out there. But I recognize that it's irrational, and I'm trying to get over it because I think she's fantastic. She's a great actress. She's beautiful. She's talented. She does stunts well. She has charisma. Everything's great. It's just she's not Nev Campbell. That's the only thing I'm holding against her.
I feel I'm proud of you for voicing that so responsibly and carefully, and I feel like it shows growth on your side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to recognize my own feelings more.
Yeah. I didn't like I had no problem with the cast and the screams. I just did not. I mean, the last, what was it? Scrifivum, I didn't hate. I just felt like, oh, this isn't for me. It's for a younger audience, but it's fine. It feels like a Scream movie. Scrissixum, I hated so much. I just thought I hated the way it was New York, but not New York.
Yeah.
It felt so convoluted. It felt the stakes made no sense. The killers could only like the mystery. I don't know. The more I think about it, and like the what happens to, I don't want to spoil anything on Scream 6, but the fact that the movie couldn't decide what to do with Courtney Cox, so they
Yeah.
leave it open ended, and then they decide, well, we can't kill anybody in this movie
Yeah.
because
Anybody.
stabbing doesn't. Apparently,
Yeah.
knives in fake New York don't actually go through your body because
Yeah.
you can get stabbed like 40 times and then you're okay by the end of that movie. And
Yeah.
all of that just really bothered me. So I
Yeah.
think, you know.
I agree with everything you said, but I cannot give an unbiased opinion about Scream, so I just don't give it. Just assume that I'm gonna love a new.
I get it.
Scream
You,
movie.
you've
It's
got your screams.
fine.
I got my step ups. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing.
Yeah.
That's all I need out of life. But sadly, Abigail is not what I needed. It was fine.
Yeah. Again, I think I liked it enough.
Mhm.
If this is on TV one day, like, sure, yeah, well, it can be on. But I just
I
wanted
love
more.
it. It can be on.
It can be on. I won't call the FCC and
I'll
tell them to
allow
take it
it.
off. I won't complain. I won't, like, bang the radio with my cane and say, turn this off.
I love how it's weird. I love how New York this podcast is a lot of times because we all lived in New York at separate times in our
Mhm.
lives together. So we can't like give an unbiased opinion about New York either. And you were born and raised there, Emily. I love that earlier you mentioned this is so dumb that I'm bringing this up, but it really stuck with me. You mentioned you're like, that game you play when you're on the subway coming home from a Broadway show and you look to see
Yes.
That game.
Your point.
We all grew up with that game.
Did you guys not? Wait, is that like a Long Island, New York thing only?
It's gonna shock you, but not
You-
everybody takes the subway home from a Broadway show.
Wait, like you all don't remember the day that you realized it wasn't Law and Order anymore, and now it was going to be like Orange is the New Black? Like you didn't have that realization? What is going on?
That's interesting. Is that what happened?
It was a
Yeah.
couple of different shows. Yeah, it's been a few now, but now Law and Order has been back, and SVU never went away. So now you can safely go back to
I'm
Law and
glad.
Order. Yeah.
I'm glad.
I had that thing when I lived in New York. I'd see somebody, and I'm like, I probably recognize him from Law and Order because I knew they were
Almost
an
always.
actor in something. And the day did happen when it turned out it was somebody from Orange is the New Black because I kept trying to run through my mind.
Uh-huh.
This
Uh-huh.
woman, and it turns out she was one of the guards in Orange is the New Black, the redheaded one that's
Mhm.
like, kind of square-headed. It was her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And her big old square head. So yeah, I was there. I witnessed that change.
Yeah. You're,
Everybody that's listening to this can relate.
of course.
right?
We're very
You know,
relatable
this little
people.
place you run into at the coffee shop.
Yeah. I mean, look, all of us, one way or another, experienced watching Russell Crowe watch The Adventures of Tom Sawyer on Broadway.
Yeah, that was my watching Russell Crowe leave the.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
All right. Any more to say about Abigail?
I think I've said it all.
What is Alicia Ware doing next? I want her to do everything.
Who is she?
She was Abigail.
Oh, I gotta say, I don't want to shit on a kid, but like, because I feel like she was great. I will say she was great. I don't think she was like, I could see a little girl acting, is what I'm saying. I could see that it was a really good actor of a little girl, but I think she has potential to get past that. I really do think she could be one of the best actors, because I don't think Meryl Streep started out where Meryl Streep is. I'm saying this little girl could grow up to be Meryl Streep. She's not yet.
Oh, I mean, I thought the way she did, and again, even though I think it was dumb that the movie even tried to do it, but that her going from like girl Abigail to vampire Abigail, I thought for a whatever 12-year-old actress or however old this kid is, I was like, no, that she made clear choices that really worked for that. For me.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I agree, and the thing is, I just saw the choices. I don't know how I can explain it.
Fair.
I can't put. Yeah, I just saw a young actor making choices for a movie, and I'm not trying to shit on her. She was great, and I think she will be greater.
All right, so just so we're all clear, Jason hates straight men, kid actors,
Weird faces.
Weird faces.
I'm coming up. We're going to edit this whole podcast down, right?
No, I'm just going to
Take out
bank
all-
it. I'm not going to release it. I'm going to hold on to it for when you run for office.
Take out all the stuff where I said something bad about very successful people currently making movies in Hollywood.
Enjoy your 4-minute podcast.
Gonna
Listen.
play a blowhorn. Guys, that means this podcast is only going to be about me talking about the adventures of Tom Sawyer on Broadway. And it can't be. It just can't be. The audience
No,
for that is not big.
People will be confused, but like in a good way.
Yeah. We could rebrand this to just like stories about Emily going to Broadway shows.
Yeah, little anecdotes.
I mean, I do have stories, just saying. I saw Jackie Mason's musical. It ran for 1 week and 1 week only. I'm just saying. He had a 14-minute number about Starbucks.
I love that, a lot of times people are, when you live in New York, I know we need to end this show, but when you live in New York and you mention, that you see celebrities fairly regularly, they think you're thinking of, Brad Pitt or, Angelina Jolie. And, occasionally you might see them, but most likely you're going to see D.B. Sweeney, like you did.
Well,
it's gonna be
if you're
something
lucky,
like that.
you will
Yeah.
drunkenly accost D.B. Sweeney, like I did.
I saw Ty from Trading Spaces.
Uh-huh, nice.
I saw him at the Barnes & Noble one day. That was kind of cool. It's not like I'm seeing Tom Cruise at the coffee shop.
Sure.
We're seeing people from Law & Order, Orange is the New Black.
I did walk by Jake Gyllenhaal though in Little Italy.
That I saw Deadpool.
So
What's his name?
Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan
Or
Reynolds.
was
thank
it
you.
actually Deadpool?
No, it was actually Ryan Reynolds and his beautiful wife, who everybody needs to stop shitting on. Fucking stop. I saw them walking by Rock Bar one night when I was there drinking with the Bears.
That's very fun.
Yeah. So
See, it's a lot of times it's the lady from What Not to Wear, but sometimes it's A-list celebrities.
There
yeah.
you go.
Anything can happen in New York, kids. City
This
of
is
dreams.
true. I'll end with one more where one day I was in college and my roommate called me. She's like, I'm standing on 87th Street outside of a pizza place, and do you know who I'm looking at inside eating pizza with his kids? That's all she had to say for me to say, you're looking at Chris Maloney, aren't you? And she was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
One thing I want to leave everybody on real quick is there's a movie called Torn Hearts with Kate Siegel. Have either of you seen it?
I have not.
Yes.
You saw it?
I did, yes.
And what are we gonna
No,
say
I liked
here?
it.
Oh, I hated it. Okay.
Oh.
See, this is where we differ. Yeah, I was going to tell people not to see it. As much as you love Kate Siegel, I don't think it was worth the time. I feel like nothing happened in that movie, but that's okay. We can disagree occasionally.
I'm trying to make sure it's the same movie. Oh my god. I just typed in hearts and it auto-corrected to breasts. I don't know why.
Oh, no!
Same difference.
Yes,
Gotta
I did.
edit
Torn
this one out,
breasts.
too.
This movie was directed by Brea Grant.
Who I
I'm
like.
a Brea Grant stan,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go to bat for anything she does. And plus, it dealt with older women, which I feel like is something we don't get a lot. So
Yeah.
Jason
You're
hates older
interested in
women.
those two things.
Older women, kid actors, and bros.
Kate Siegel in MILF Manor.
Ah, MILF Men are tight.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Anyway,
I think we might be done.
I
think
suppose.
so.
I
Okay.
suppose. Before we go, what a delight it was to have our special guest star.
Fozzie, it's
Jason,
me, Fozzie. I'm here. Fozzie, hi.
well, you're here. You're wonderful. Tell people where to find more of you, including your book.
Oh, nice. Thank you. I almost forgot I wrote a book.
How dare you?
I
How
did
dare
write it-
you?
I did write a book called Always by My Side. It's a gothic horror romance action book. You see, the best books are all the genres, actually, if you think about it. So it's available on Amazon in Kindle or paperback version. You can get it there, Always by My Side. My author name is Jason Fozzie Nelson. You can also follow me on Twitter at Fozzie Bear, FOZZIEBARE. That's it.
And everybody should buy and read Jason's book. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Christine, you also have books. Where do people find them?
Oh, yeah. On the internet. My name's Christine Makepeace. You can just Google me. It brings you to lots of stuff. Also, if you happen to be a movie producer that listens to this podcast and you think I sound fun and cute, I am, and you should call me.
And if we didn't piss you off too much. As long as you're not a straight man or an older woman or a child actor.
I like everybody. I'm equal opportunity.
Yes, to be clear,
Straight
it's
men.
Jason who has hate in his heart.
Oh, no!
Or breasts.
Jason's the sweetest. I will not allow this slander.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I knew you were my favorite.
Well, on that note, we're gonna go.
Emily's great too.
Yeah,
Emily,
isn't she?
People... Hey, where can the people find you?
I don't even know anymore. I'm somewhere on some. I lurk now. I don't post anything because
I get it.
they're all hellscapes. But I'm Deadly Dolls in places, and DeadlyDollsHouse.com is where there is stuff that I have written. So.
Yeah, I should say none of us are like big social media people, so just listen to this show. Like that's the best place.
That's fine.
I'll be back sometime.
Of course you will
and
be.
so if you want to see me, just find me here sometime. I don't want to. Don't find me any other way.
We will be doing a catch-up episode soon because I watched 3 airport movies and I am itching to talk about them. So I'm going to leave everybody with that. I was going to say Colonel, but that's not the thing. What's the thing that you like tease somebody with?
A carrot?
Teaser?
Carrot. Thank you. Why a carrot? I guess because you're a
Dangling
horse.
a carrot in front of the
carrot.
donkey. Yeah.
Okay. Well, pretend the carrot's been dipped in like chocolate or something much better.
And you're all donkeys.
I am all
Listeners.
1970s stewardess donkeys. Yes. Those things and more.
Oh,
Thank
this
you
has
for
been a
listening,
joy.
everybody.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
A favorite childhood story is brought to life this season as Mark Twain's Tom Sawyer becomes a new Broadway musical. In this scene, Tom and Becky begin to explore the excitement of young love. Here to perform To Hear You Say My Name, please welcome Joshua Park and Kristen Bell.
I think we should get engaged.
Oh, Tom, I don't...
Say that again.
Say what?
My name.
Tom?
It's one word I've heard more than any other. What's different about now, I can't explain. It makes me feel like I've just been discovered. Oh, how I love to hear you say my name. I've heard it said so many times in anger, when I was called upon to take the blame. But never have I heard it said so tender. Oh, how I love to hear you say my name.
That you should even care to hear me say it once out loud. It's funny how it's never made me tremble until now. So nervous and so proud.
They say the world can turn on any moment, and when it does, then nothing is the same. The pounding of my heart must be an omen.